With the Consew 227R-2, this is one of my favorite cylinder arm walking foot machines. It's a great heavy duty unit, and we're going to go over upper and lower thread path. So how to thread your machine, how to wind a bobbin, and quickly go over how to set thread tension. Insert the needle fully into the needle bar and snug that in place, and make sure that you're using the right needle system and size. The needle system on this machine is a 135/17, also sometimes called a 135/16 for a leather point needle. Also make sure to orient the long groove of the needle to the left and the scarf or notch to the right. Well, first things first, you want to make sure that you're using an industrial style thread spool where the thread comes off the top. I also highly recommend the use of these thread socks just to make sure loose thread doesn't catch down around the stand. Go up through the eyelet and down towards your machine. Of course, a good sewing machine light like this cool light makes everything easier to do, and it's got a high and a low setting, so that's kind of nice as well. Hit the guidepost once from back to front and once from right to left. It doesn't so much matter whether you start at the top hole or the bottom hole, but what's nice is the last hole that you come out leads you down towards the next guide assembly. Next, head to this 3-hole thread guide, and I usually just hit it twice, kind of looping over like a barber pole, and when you're done, it'll look like that. With the presser foot lifted, come over and in between those tension discs around the thread controller, and lift up on the thread until you hear it click. Next, just come up through this large open guide, hit the take-up arm from right to left as you come down through the same guide that you've already been up through, another guide on the face of the machine, and then down through this large guide that typically has a piece of felt mounted in there, and then on to arguably the most important thread guide, the needle bar thread guide, so critical to prevent upper thread shredding and fraying. And then we'll thread the needle from left to right. To wind a bobbin, just bring your thread through this eyelet and around the back of the tension assembly and just pull it so it snugs in. From there, just pass the thread through the bobbin from inside to out and take up any slack as you begin to wind the bobbin. And there's two key things we're looking for as we start to wind. One, that the thread is going on evenly, and number two, how much thread is actually being wound on the bobbin. Once you get a sufficient amount on, you can go ahead and trim that thread. As you install the standard industrial G-size bobbin, just make sure that it goes in the right way. As you pull thread off, it should unspool counterclockwise. So just drop in the bobbin and close the retaining tab and make sure that the thread comes through this anti-backlash slot. I like to put my finger down on the bobbin and just give it a little tug, make sure it gets under the tension tab. Hold the upper thread loosely as you roll the hand wheel towards you, and you'll see the hook come around. And you know, that's what I love about this sort of top-loading machine. You can visually see in real time that the machine is doing what it's supposed to do, and we'll pull up that lower thread. Pass an object through to straighten out your threads, and you are ready to sew. Hold your threads back as you begin to sew, and we'll just see if we're anywhere close on our tension. We'll come down to the corner and bury the needle, and what I see right away is a little dot of red thread, and in that case that's our lower thread. So the knot is too high and I need to actually decrease my upper tension or increase my lower tension, one of the two. I like where my lower tension is at, so I'm just going to back off the upper tension adjustment by half turn at a time and retest. And that looks better on that last row of stitches. I don't see any of the bottom thread up on top where it doesn't belong, so you should be good to go. Probably one of the most common problems when sewing is loose loops on the bottom of your material, and luckily there's an easy solution to that. What you need to do is increase your upper tension, make small adjustments about a half turn at a time, and then retest. And once you don't see any white dots from the upper thread, you know you've got it dialed in. Well, there's the complete thread path from top to bottom. Also remember to look for more general topics on the 227R-2, including machine overview and troubleshooting common problems.